This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Bickers, alongside me, Robert Alexander. What's going on, Rob?
What's up, man?
Good to have you on, as always. I'm sure we're going to be having Shakur, probably Javi at some point. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about this past weekend, buddy. Shakur, main event on Thursday. I didn't understand the whole event myself. I know you said somebody was saying something about a race car track. I don't get it. I don't understand why fight on the Thursday. You should have saved this for a Friday or a Saturday night. I don't get it, but overall, at least as far as Shakur's fight is concerned, was it a snooze fest? How did you see this one? Because I'm not gonna lie to you. At some point, I was like, I'm just gonna have to turn this off.
I turned it off. I absolutely turned it off. And yes, it was a snooze fest. Okay, so just to bring light on what happened with the event, it was in Vegas. Vegas was booming last week. Okay. The Formula One, F1, as it's known, just implemented a new racetrack in Vegas circuit. The racetrack goes around T-Mobile and all of that. So they were trying to draw in from the crowds that they get because Formula One is among one of the most popular sports in the world. So it is.
Not around me.
It is on the top 10 because it's world renowned. They race usually in Europe, Abu Dhabi. They race all over the country, and it's not as big in the U.S. as it is globally, but it's starting to come around. There are 2 Formula One races in the U.S. now. Former, there was only one. So it was a big deal for the people in Vegas and Formula fans here to get that action. So that's why they put it on a Thursday. They were trying to draw in from that action. You also have college football nights on Thursday. You have the NFL on Thursday. So with it being a late night start, they were hoping to also get those fans trickled in from those other sporting events, which I'm sure they probably did. The reason why I'm giving you all this information is because that is a very big deal for a fighter that's trying to live up to the hype of the stature as Shakur Stevenson. Now, I'm not sure if they're on here yet because they usually come on maybe a little later in the show. But we have some very adamant fans out there that are fans of this show that are huge on Shakur Stevenson and his future. Not to call out any names, CJ Hooker.
I knew that was coming.
Not to call out anybody, but look, this kid ain't nobody. He ain't nobody yet. He has to. He needs to check himself. Yeah, I get it. He said he wasn't happy with his performance, and he shouldn't be. And the Bulls tell you that, and everybody falling asleep tells you that. You know, the best meme I got that I shared with the team on Friday, actually after the fight, was, "Hey, Shakur Stevenson has some great power." He was able to send 20,000 viewers to sleep that night. Okay? To sleep.
So, do you take the excuse? He said he's not giving any excuses, but basically said he wasn't feeling good, this whole past week, basically leading up until the fight. What do you take away from that? He said, I'm not going to talk about the hand, and then basically proceeded to say, well, I wasn't 100%. Nobody's 100%. Nobody in physical sports history has ever been 100% going into really anything, especially fighters. So
the issue with that is he's done it before. Live on ESPN, they've taken issue before with previous fights of his that he kind of lulls the crowd to sleep. And the problem with that is look, you can have a boring technical fighter. Let's be real here. Floyd did it. Floyd was boring at one point in time in his career. Terrence Crawford did it. He was boring all the way up until the Gamboa fight when he was challenged more. The problem is that those guys, even when they were being considered boring fighters, it's because they were technical fighters. And their technicality came out more as they progressed in their career, and they're on to greatness. Shakur Stevenson is not a boring technical fighter. He doesn't engage enough. It's almost as if he's afraid to let that chin get tested.
To a fair point. I mean, he's gun shy. He's also just afraid to take the L because he knows once he takes the L, then
Lucas. This guy is a fighter, yes, but in terms, he was a bum in terms of the other names out there that you're trying to compare Shakur Stevenson to. There's nothing, nowhere impossible that he should be afraid of a loss to this guy.
I mean,
and you know what? This guy didn't do nothing in the ring either. Okay? He didn't do nothing in the ring either.
No, but you can't say that he wasn't really fighting scared. Hang on, let me come back to that. I wanted to go back to Steve says, I literally fell asleep, not joking. When I woke up, I had to check ESPN News to see who won. I voluntarily turned it off. Nobody was trying to win the fight, at least not from my perspective. It was just, let's have a sparring match. Like, that's basically what it was. It seemed like Shakur was fighting scared. He was fighting to not get knocked out and to win on points. When you can go through the whole fight and not hit double digits on your land, I mean, come on now.
And again,
Floyd don't do that, and they call Floyd boring.
Right.
But Floyd landed some fucking punches at least.
Exactly, and those are considered boring because they're technical fighters. Okay. The problem with Shakur is this. What's his biggest attribute, Lucas? What's the biggest call out? What's his biggest stat that everybody gives him credit for?
Stat?
Yes.
Zero losses? What do you mean?
0 punches landed against him.
Well,
Really? 0 punches landed against him. In this fight, his opponent, historic, set a record for the least amount of punches landed in a fight. But that's it. That's all he's being known for right now is defense. And it tells me he actually is a very scared fighter.
what's weird is I think we both know that there's a lot tougher competition out there. Is this the Shakur Stevenson we're going to see in those big fights? Because if so, I don't think anybody wants to tune in. A lot of people inside boxing seem to believe that Shakur Stevenson's like a draw, and I'm sorry, he's just not. He's not at all. I mean, you look at like his Twitter following. He didn't even have like I think 250,000 followers on Twitter. Like he is never going to be a pay-per-view star fighting like this.
No.
Gotta take some chances.
And the biggest red eye or black eye, whatever you want to call it, the biggest black eye in this fight is the fact that this kid comes out with the great Andre Ward and Terrence Crawford at his side and then puts together a performance like this. It's shameful because regardless what's going on before the fight, when you step in that ring, you better put your best. You better put it your best effort.
Yeah, I mean, boxing has changed. We can't just be getting off with no pop shotting all night long. Like, you can do it if you're Floyd and you're, that unanimously hated, but Floyd at least still backed it up, and like I said, he still outlanded the guy by a lot, and it was just not that way. Shakur Stevenson is he's missing a huge opportunity because this is a main event again, and what did he do? He fumbled it, right? We talked about the undercard being the show stealer, and we called it, right? We called it. Navarete, Conceição, the draw, that stealed the show. That should have been the main event. And I think you can admit to that. It's Shakur Stevenson versus De Los Santos. That should have been the undercard. Navarete, Conceição should have been the main event.
Yeah, and Navarete is proven he should be a main event fighter right now. He really is proven that. He's been very active. He's been in very tough fights. And the man really, to me, does a great job in them. Now, we'll get to how I feel about it being a draw in a minute. But, yeah, Navarete is just a remarkable, great fighter. He is how Shakur should be trying to fight.
I mean, he definitely has the TV style of fighting. He throws a lot of volume. He throws some heavy hands. It's just very TV friendly, whereas Shakur's is definitely not. It's basically everything cool that they did. Shakur ruined it.
And Craig Joyner is right. This fight with Shakur Stevenson was straight dookie.
Yeah, I mean, can't really say it a lot better. So let's turn more now to the draw against Navarete. I still had it close, but I didn't have it a draw. I had a win for Navarete. How did you have it? Because I know you were saying that.
It absolutely was a Navarete fight. He knocked the guy down twice. Okay. Now, regardless, he did start slow. He did. And you got to give Robinson great credit. Robinson wasn't scared in this fight, but actually I'm going to put everybody's attention towards something that he hasn't been known for. He's been known to be legit and competitive. He hasn't been known to take big shots and then come back from a knockdown, or to come back from taking the big shots and appearing to look like he's out of the fight. Usually once he tests the canvas, or he starts losing the rounds, then he usually falters in the fight. This fight, no. He actually came back from both knockdowns, and I believe he did win the very next round from him. And he won most of those earlier rounds in the fight. But when you give the two knockdowns, basically that's taking possible, potential two of those earlier rounds that he won away. And then after the two knockdowns, I think towards the end of the fight, really the last 3-4 rounds in the fight, I gave it all to Navarete. I thought he closed the show great. He was getting caught by Robinson, but those were mostly pop shots. There was nothing really damaging from him other than, he was getting countered. And if you study Navarete, that's what happens with him, because he's an aggressive fighter. He's going to get countered. But he was throwing very nice combinations and landing them and backing Robinson up. The only thing is that this time Robinson did fight back heavily. So a draw wasn't a robbery by any means by giving it a draw, I just felt like if you know Navarete and what he does normally in a fight, you could see that he edged it out in those later rounds.
Yeah, no, I saw Navarete in a close fight, but Javi's just joining us. Javi, how'd you see Navarete Conceição?
I saw like it was a hell of a fight. I saw like it over expected exceeded the expectations, but I draw. I'm having mixed feelings about it. One is because I feel like sometimes, the two knockdowns definitely were a factor on it, but you could see that Conceição pretty much got some of the first half of the fight for the most part. Another thing is, even those rounds where there was a knockdown, Conceição was winning, especially the first knockdown. Conceição was clearly winning that round until he fell down, and it's maybe instead of a 10-8, it could have been like a 9-9. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like this notion that we have that is like you're not gonna take the belt from the champion at Vegas. It's like we talked about it. We pretty much know, like we all say it. We understand that it's like you're not gonna get a decision off of Canelo, off of Navarete, off of Valdez. These high-profile names in Vegas, because they want to bring the money and they want to keep the money at home. So I think like a draw was like a good job sticker to Conceição. Maybe try again and shows that you're better next time. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's not as bad as we can say robbery. Because we're so quick to say that too. But at the same time, it's like, was it really a draw, or was it more like, here Navarete, hold your title, Conceição, this is a good job sticker. Maybe we see you guys again in somewhere in the middle. Now, if I see an immediate rematch, then now we're talking. But if I don't see an immediate rematch, then I'm gonna incline to believe like Vegas odds.
So see, this is why a draw is a good decision, because Javi, me and Lucas see it Navarete winning. It sounds like to me you see it as Robinson won that fight.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say like it was a clear win. Like I said, I'm not mad at the draw because it was that type of fight. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like maybe in another city, maybe under other circumstances, maybe Conceição would have taken the benefit of the doubt. He probably would have walked away with it. I mean, we saw Andrade getting dropped against Kovalev, and pretty much still walk away with some decision. We didn't see that because at this time, like I said, if we take that title to Brazil, Vegas loses money. If we keep it at home, Vegas still makes money. Folks.
I think this was a lot closer a fight than even Ward Kovalev, but that's just
100%. 100%. That's why I put that perfect example, because it's like the guy that was supposed to win, basically got the benefit of the doubt. It was that type of fight. But hey, man, listen, it was a hell of a fight, and it was that type of fight where a decision is not going to override the magic that we just saw. It was so much of a good fight that it's like a lot of people already knows who Conceição is finally. They want to see the rematch, and it was just too shiny for the main event of that night. It was. There's no way anybody could have topped that. That if anything, we could have switched things around, and that could have been like the night of the fight, where where the fans don't leave with that bitter taste, but it's just kind of like take a nap and then boom, wake up, leave there with a good feeling like, damn, that was a good fight.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been good even if it was the main event. I honestly think it should have been, but fans got what they got. Navarete is going to be a good on TV no matter how you draw it up. But, Javi, you put it really good. I mean, nobody can really be too mad at a draw, right? Usually we be screaming robbery, or we be saying, this draw is bullshit. That's usually what it comes with. But, this was a close enough fight that a draw is warranted, and I think everybody was happy with it for the most part. You could see Conceição was smiling from ear to ear. I think he was happy with it. Everybody was okay.
I don't think it was like a happy smile, Lucas. It was kind of like, when you hear some bullshit about some place and then you get to that place and you see it and then you start smiling. It's like, man, this is what I knew was gonna happen.
So you think he was smiling? You think he was smiling from the fuckery that was going on, basically?
Yes, yes, he was definitely. But at the same time, it was also like it's a draw is very tricky because even though you're probably not gonna give the fight to the right man, you also leave you leave a fighter with that feeling of like, okay, I'm happy with that. That now they have to settle down for that decision, even though it's not what they wanted, it's not what they was aiming for. Conceição, man, like it was just humbling to see, somebody fighting with like he already gave everything. He emptied his tank, and he was still swinging. He was still going. He was still like just pure heart and instinct. And at some point, sometimes that makes you want to be like, damn, like he should win just based on that. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we always say, right, it's gonna come down to like who wants it the most. Well, we saw who wanted it the most. It just went to it went to nowhere because we got to keep the guys that make the most. Of course, we want the guy that wanted the most to win, but at the same time, it's show business, baby. So we got to keep the guy that makes the most, not the ones that wanted the most. You can want the most all you want. The Bucks is the one that top. Dinero.
That bigger fan base seems to win most times.
Well, Javi, you raise a good point though, because what happened with Conceição is a classic example why a lot of fighters don't take risk in a fight. Because he was aggressive, took risk, and he got knocked down twice. So that's really why people don't usually take a risk in that fight, and he should get credited for that because not only did he do that, but he kept on fighting afterwards.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah,
and I also believe like he didn't really pace himself because even the first round when he was winning, he was throwing a lot of them shots with like bad intentions. Every shot had bad intentions in it, and that wears you down. Now, of course, I'm not gonna take away from Navarete. Never read this pressure, never read those body shots, the knockdowns, the mental, seeing that your best shots are not doing nothing to your man, and that motherfucker keeps coming. Mentally, it drains you because it's like you're running a car, right? And your car is doing 150. So you race any car, and then you go toe to toe in the car, you're already at 150. When you're still going at 150 for a few seconds, you start realizing like, damn, I can't go past this no more. And this guy right here next to me is still going, and you kind of see him taking the lead. Mentally, that drains anybody, So I feel like both of them, Navarete threw a lot less, and he kind of paced himself because that's his style. I feel like if Conceição paced himself a little better, then maybe we could see something different. But the beautiful thing about the draw is like when we get back to it, usually the better man always rises to the top. When there's a second chance, a third chance, and whether we like it or not, the better man is going to rise to the top on the second meet when they meet up again. Like I said, hopefully something that is a rematch because I believe they both deserve it, especially Conceição. But at the same time, it's like I understand the business part of it. So if they kind of want to like put it on the side until later on, it's going to be some BS. But it is what it is. It's part of the business as well.
Yeah, but you don't want to see it get sidelined because 9 out of 10 times then that fight never comes back to fruition, especially not fights like this. So you'll just hear about it and it's never going to come back. And, you don't want to see that. So I knew you wanted a rematch. I want to see a rematch too. Rob, is this warranting a rematch, an immediate rematch? Or?
Oh, you can wait.
Navarete wants it too. He's very humble. He was very thankful and humbled after the fight. Navarete ain't ducking nobody in there. He ain't gonna duck nobody. That's not him. And he honestly, let's be honest, he still doesn't have that huge name under him yet to be able to afford to duck fights.
I mean, you do have a point. Maybe he's not a high profile name as the other ones that we already know about yet, but in the boxing, the boxing world, Navarete is known. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you're never gonna see a boring fight from Navarete. His style is so fan friendly He can be in a draw. He can even lose. Probably he'll probably give us like the best performance of his life if he ever loses again. Who knows? That one thing that we know about him is he's gonna do his best. He's gonna throw. He's gonna be him. Do all his odd, crazy shit, out of balance shots. But he's gonna do whatever he needs to be done to try to get the W. And I gotta respect that.
For sure. All right, moving on here. Let's talk about the undercard here. Jermall Charlo versus Jose Benavidez Jr. One, Rob, as a betting man, are you liking the odds here? Is that sound about right to you? Something you would expect?
These fight odds for this fight, just like the prediction for this fight, is always gonna have to be jaded because we don't know what Charlo is going to bring with him inside that ring on Saturday night. That's the biggest issue. Charlo versus baby Benavidez, if I could call him that, in the past would be a mockery because of the trajectory on where Charlo's career was headed and where it should be at this point and where baby Benavidez's career is. He only has 2 losses, but in my humbled opinion, he doesn't stay active enough and he hasn't performed in any of the bigger fights that he's been in. Just to put it in perspective, his 2 losses are, of course, Terrence Crawford. Everybody loses to him. And a questionable one that people would take back in, Danny Garcia. People have kind of written off Danny Garcia. So that's kind of a questionable loss in a lot of people's eyes there. So my issue right now, with whoever I would take in this fight, betting or not, is I need to be a fly on the wall in the camps and in the life of these 2 fighters because I need to kind of see behind the scenes. I need some insider information, Lucas. Okay? I need to know, is Charlo still tooting his nose up at night after training? Is he still drinking all the Hennessy at night after training? And with baby Benavidez, you know what I'm saying? Has he been staying active at least in camp? Has he been training as hard as he projects he is? So to me, the odds are really jaded in this one. I'm a betting man, it's too close to call for me. I would mostly look at maybe the odds for a decision versus a knockout. How long the fight is going to last. Because I'm a betting man, that's what I would be looking at. I honestly wouldn't touch these odds on either one of them because I could see either one of them losing.
Really? So you
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go, Lucas.
You go.
No. Come on. My bad. I did not mean to interrupt you, man.
So you seriously think that Jermall Charlo, even if he is in bad shape, could lose to Jose Benavidez Jr.?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a big difference right here with the odds for a reason, right? Number one, you already got the A side, so you already know he's got at least 2 rounds in. So Jose Benavidez is going to have to practically kill this man to get any kind of decision, get a majority decision. He was going to have to win 8 fucking rounds, and that ain't happening. Jermall Charlo is coming out of this. Even if he's in bad shape, he's coming out of this with the W, no matter what. But not only that, I just don't see Jose Benavidez Jr. as a threat, really, at all to Jermall. He went life and death with Danny Garcia, and that wasn't all that long ago. This is Danny. Danny's a small dude anyway, and he's moving up in weight when they fought. I have not been impressed by anything that he has done. I think Jermall Charlo is getting him out of there somewhat early, to be honest with you.
Okay. I mean, first of all, I'm first time seeing these odds, and it's just crazy. I feel like this fight might surprise us. Of course, I'm thinking Charlo's gonna pull it off, but kind of like what Robert said, what kind of Charlo we're gonna get. Now, we already know Jose sometimes, he fights with his emotions, and that's his style. That's part of his style. He brings all that extra stuff to it. He uses it to his advantage. He uses it as fuel. Hey, whatever works for him. And we all have different styles. It just, I'm yet to see if he can get to draw Charlo to those type of games, because that's gonna be it's not gonna be an advantage for Charlo at all. You get caught up on those type of mind games, emotional games while the fight is going on. And at the same time, we already know that Charlo's coming from this outside of the ring problems. So people always have this curiosity about it. Okay, now we know that this person is dealing with certain stuff. He's human, he's dealing with life just like we all here. Now let's see how he performs. And sometimes that could play against you, because as an athlete, not just as an athlete, but as a fighter, people expect you to deal with life and then perform at your best and stay warrior minded at all times. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the sport where there's a lot of machismo, a lot of like this bossy type manly stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm yet to see what that brings. I don't think Jose Benavidez has the proper skills, because if it comes down to it, it's gonna come down to technique and skills. And I believe Charles is gonna prevail if that's the case. But if they go blow for blow, or something like hit me because I'm gonna hit you too, you never know. We might be surprised.
You think he can trade blow for blow?
He can get caught up in that game, and that's not his game. That's what Benavidez is gonna want him to do. You'll see Benavidez is gonna keep trying that round after round, as long as he's allowed to do it. It's for Charlo to keep it at distance, keep it classy with boxing, keep it moving, and scoring, and maybe get the knockout as he's working, not just look for the knockout. Benavidez is gonna be on his ass all day, trying to get him out of his game. All Charlo gotta do for me is I think he's gotta stick to his game plan and not let Benavidez of the moment get the best of him, where he gets taken out of his game and all start crumbling down.
Okay, so prediction, what you got?
See, now Javi's what Javi just said right there really is what I've been talking about in a nutshell. And it also comes down to the layoff for Charlo. Because if Charlo isn't in, which I wouldn't assume he would be in great fighting shape right now. I wouldn't assume he would be. So with Charlo not being in great fighting shape, the best move for Benavidez to do, which as Javi alluded to, he's that type of guy, would be to press the action and try to bait him into a firefight
Early as well.
Early and often in this one, because I could see Charlo sitting very stagnant, especially in the earlier rounds, because he's not been in the ring so long. He's not really in shape to do a lot of the boxing that, as Javi said, that he's normally able to do to prevail in the fights. And if that's the case, he's going to be backed up. Benavidez is gonna try to sting him and hurt him often, and then Charlo's gonna have to be subdued to, so quote unquote, a street fight. Really, he's gonna have to be into a street fight. The problem with that is that, honestly, I think Charlo can win against Benavidez in a street fight.
That's what I was trying to say earlier when you guys were talking about trying to draw him out and get into just swinging. I'm like, well, doesn't Charlo want that? I mean, if I'm Charlo, I mean, I guess their knockout percentage is somewhat similar. Charlo has slightly better, but I mean, it is slightly. But I would obviously give the power right, advantage to Charlo. Would you guys agree to that? Speed.
Yeah.
Speed, also Charlo.
It's
Like I said, when it comes down to it, technique, skills, Charlo has it. But
Yeah.
it's sometimes it becomes hard to keep your technique, to keep your skills, to keep your game plan when your dancing partner is trying to take you out of it. Eventually, sometimes it's like it could be the activity, it could be like the emotional part behind it, it could be like the mind games of Benavidez actually pay off. You know what I'm saying? And he's all of a sudden he finds himself doing stuff that he ain't supposed to be doing in the first place. Also, that's if we go thinking that he gets a little bit trigger happy, but also it could be the opposite way, where he's there thinking too much, and Benavidez is just working, and sometimes he might not be landing much, he might not be doing much damage, but because he's busier, surprised.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm saying is how I see how that thing could go. That's not my prediction though.
So you got
that being said, I think Charlo has to win by knockout. I think he has to win by knockout because he hasn't been in the ring. His stamina is not going to be there. He's not going to be engaging enough to look like he's dominating any of those rounds. He's definitely not going to be the aggressor. So really, he's just going to have to kind of fight back. And like I said, fighting back in a street brawl, I think Charlo should win that. I don't think he can do that though. I think everything outside of the ring is actually going to creep up. I think it's going to go down to a decision. It's going to be very much lopsided in the fact that Charlo is not going to engage enough in this fight. I think Benavidez steals this one with a 12-round split decision, but I think he steals it. And again, I'm going back, guys. Charlo, we don't know the extent of the issues with this Charlo, but trust me, it's rough. The reports, everything that I hear, it's bad.
How bad are we talking here? Because we keep talking about advantages, and it's literally like Jermall has every single advantage, right? We're saying he has every single advantage. The only disadvantage is basically his home fucking life. Okay,
you see,
and what comes back, and where do boxers thrive most is a bad fucking home life. Like that's boxing, man. Boxers have always come from the damn gutter, from problem after problem. And you know what? They unleash those motherfucking problems in the ring. Look, I don't care what you say. Look, you got Benavidez. He's got to fight up. He has to punch up. He's got to have the reach advantage. Charlo will have that too. Who's got the speed? Who's got the power? All of that is leading towards Charlo, yet you guys are still like, Benavidez got a shot here. I don't see it, guys. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't see it. My money, crazy. I will take that Charlo money, okay? I got that.
I agree with you. And I feel like, Charlo got all the advantages, but there's a bigger fight that Charlo's going through. Not just his personal issues in his life, but one of the biggest enemy of a fighter is inactivity. There's nothing that not only slows down and stalls and it damages at some point a fighter than inactivity. And when you combine that with personal issues and all that stuff, before on the first bell of the first bell of the first round, before Charlo start applying his game plan to Benavidez, he has to fight himself in his mind and what he's gonna do from that moment and on. After he can set up that fight in his mind and he can win the fight, then all he gotta do is just apply his skills, stick to his game plan. I'm sure they have a good game plan. And because Benavidez, like I said, sometimes he fights with emotion. He gets wild. He throws some loopy punches. Then sometimes all you gotta do is like not get caught up in the game, stay sharp. You will catch him eventually. But if you as a Charlo do not win that mental fight within yourself first, and you go in there already beaten mentally, we might see an upset. That's why I'm kind of surprised at these odd numbers. But hey, a lot of people are not really expecting Charlo to win, and I think he's gonna win. I think it's gonna be a decision. I think it's gonna be a decision, but I think because of the inactivity, I'm expecting him to pick up his, on what he's left off. Maybe not in the beginning rounds, but either the half or a little bit after the half of the 12 rounds. And also, sometimes you can become gun shy. You know what I'm saying? When you haven't been there, it's not the same thing. You could be in the gym sparring, all of that. It's not the same thing as fighting. So you can start getting gun shy because it's like, oh shoot, like I'm here now, 8 ounces, the lights, the headgear, the moment, like this is it, And like I said, there's a lot of expectations from him, being the fact that he's been inactive, what's going on, and we don't really know what's going on with his personal issues for sure, But at the same time, it's like you said it, Lucas. We all deal with this shit. The only pressure that you have is like you as a pro athlete, not just a pro athlete, but a fighter. You're expected to deal with this shit, come on top, like you're the man. And we get to see that. If he can do that, hey, he might have a good night, And if he can, I won't override him. I'm definitely not gonna come here or jump in the chat and be Charlo ain't shit. I ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? Man, but hey, I'm curious about this fight, and I'm actually surprised that he took that fight because I'm sure he probably had other options, easier tune-up fights options, but to come back on this big stage and take this fight because Jose, for what he is, he's still a dangerous guy, so he can pop. So I'll give it to Charlo respect for even taking this fight and going through with it.
Call me crazy, but I think it was a hand-picked fight in the first place. I don't mean to disrespect Jose Benavidez Jr. I think he's a good fighter, but I don't think he's a great fighter. I mean, if we're just looking at records, I'm not talking about anything else. No speed, no strategic advantage, whatever, what have you. I mean, you're looking at somebody who's 1-2-1 in his last 4 fights. I know you're going to say he fought Crawford, he fought Garcia, but you're forgetting the draw against Francisco Torres. I mean, I understand. You basically have to tell me that Charlo's all but a fucking wreck and would have to just not show up for him to beat this. I think it was handpicked, size advantage, everything he has going into this fight. I don't really see a Benavidez. But go ahead, Rob, what you were going to say.
Lucas, you're right. It was handpicked by the Benavidez crew. Okay, Big Brother is in big fight in the main event. Baby Brother and them, trust me, they know Charlos. They have a bad history with the Charlos. They know exactly what's going on with the Charlo, with that Charlo. They know exactly what's happening outside of the ring. Now, they also handpicked it because of what you're doing right now. You're alluding everything to the skills and talent that you've seen from Charlo before. That's out the window.
I'm also doing
out the window now.
Benavidez's history, right, and his previous fights. I'm talking about all of it combined. It's all does not lead to this. Let's see what Brett says. Charlo been absent for 2 years, tooting his nose up, like Rob said. So it's a big tune-up fight against Jose, who almost went the distance with Crawford, a better slick opponent than Charlo of them all. Ain't as sharp and powerful as he once was. He's at risk of getting outscored and maybe getting gassed out. It's up to Jose to make the most of his opportunities. However, I think Maul will win a close fight since Benavidez' legs slows him down. Good thought, Brett. I would agree mostly with that. Basically, he's going to have to get outworked. That's the only thing really that Benavidez has over Charlo is his work ethic. He can put together that work ethic and try to volume punch himself out of there and get himself a W. But again, we're talking about Vegas, right? We're talking about Vegas. He's got 2 rounds. It don't matter that he's the A side, right? Let's see. CJ, the blueprint has been laid out by Benavidez Jr.
Laid out Benavidez Jr.
DC.
Okay, I actually
what blueprint we talking about?
I agree with CJ. But hold on.
Kinda.
Let
But
me
what
address
difference? He has
something.
to be beaten, no? I think Charlo's undefeated, no?
Yeah.
Let me address something else that you
We talk about the other
that you
Charlo?
said.
Yeah, I think he might be confused.
Okay.
Let me touch on
Just
something.
a second. We still got some more. Hang on, then I'll let you touch. Brett, Charlo had to go back to basic fundamentals and training because he was out so long.
And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
I know, yeah.
Sometimes you have to touch the basics when you've been out the game for so long, and that's kind of what every fighter does. When you're there and you already gave it all, you go back to your basics, you go back to your fundamentals. So nothing wrong with that. I'm actually like, if that's the case, then he has a better case that he's trying to come out with a specific game plan just for Benavidez.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm a firm believer of touching on the fundamentals at all times. I think everybody gets to a point they're like, oh, I'm past that. No, you're not, man. There's a lot of people that they get in bad habits as your fighting career goes on. It's good to revisit those fundamentals and start out every training camp that way. But let's see. CJ says Derek James fighters in general. So he was just saying everybody underneath Derek James.
Well, I kind of have to defer with that opinion because I think now Garcia's with Derek James, and if you see some pad work, there's still some fundamentals that haven't been checked. Garcia's still throwing that hook with his chin all up in the air. His right hand up is still a little bit up, but it went from here to like here. That you can
hey, it's better.
You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of flows. He's throwing so concentrated on speed that there's no sometimes when you throw a shot, you kind of protect yourself with the chop. But he's so concentrated on speed that he's throwing that shot here. So your chin is still up there, on both sides. And if Derek James, if somebody's gonna work with Ryan, I'm not sure why nobody's touching that. Like it's so easy, even for the naked eye to see. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, I hopefully I feel like if Charlo just gets to his basics alone can win him the fight. But again, Lucas, to the thing that you were saying, right? You said you picked Charlo because his technique is gonna prevail, all of that, and I will definitely agree with you 100% if Charlo was active. The only thing that is kind of like is an activity,
Yeah. I mean, I gotta go. I gotta go. It is for sure. But there's other things he can be doing in sparring. I mean, I'm sure he's doing other stuff to get him ready for this. I don't think by any stretch of the means that he's going to come out here like not knowing what he's doing again. I mean, he's 32-0. I get he's been out for a very long time. I do, and you can definitely see ring rust. And I think against Jose, he can even afford a little bit of ring rust.
That's true.
I think that he don't really have too much to worry about. I think he comes out of this unscathed, and I'm still saying he gets a knockout in the first half of the fight.
Well, let me address something else that you said, though.
Okay.
You said that the fighters excel when their personal lives aren't so great and this and that. You're absolutely right when they're hungry fighters. Charlo's issues here started after the fame, after the fortune, a la Mike Tyson losing to Buster Douglas. Hey. That's the way I feel about his situation right now. Is that
you could be right? You could be right. The thing about hunger is even champions, even undisputed champions, can still have that hunger. The hunger to prove something. The hunger, for sports, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not there. He's been out of this game watching his brother compete. Don't you think he wants it? Don't you think he wants back in there? He just passed on Canelo, a Canelo that he thinks he can beat, arguably more beatable Canelo. I think he's got some get back. He does have some of that. Let's see. Brett says if the time off hadn't ruined Charlo, then it's a no-brainer. He wins, but the mental preparation for the most important for Maul, since that was the original reason he was out, not due to injury.
100%.
So,
100%.
I mean,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I always told you guys, and I still believe this one Charlo is better than the other. Out of them two, this is the one that was like more of the complete package, the more all around fighter, But at the same time, it's like this is the one that also I used to pick to beat Canelo, but hey, now I don't know if I'm in that sentiment. I used to pick him over Triple G when Triple G was active and they were both at 160, but nowadays, things have changed. So I don't know if I would ever do that as of now. But at the same time, it's like we yet to see. Like I said, that's a beautiful thing about this fight. It's like how he gonna jump back to this, and pretty much, it will be good for him, being that everybody knows what he's dealing with, and then he comes over top and he kind of demonstrate like, yeah, I'm still here regardless of anything. Because the thing about it, Robert, it could be either thing, right? To the opponent that you said, well, the whole problems and the issues they came after the fame and the fortune. That might be the case, but it might be not, because a lot of these guys be dealing with certain issues their whole life. They have like this stuff, these demons that they carry around. The only difference is once they become high profile and people know about it, then all of a sudden, those things that it was a gym locker conversations, they start becoming more popular because now everybody's talking about it. So now the news spread more. But it's not something new. It's something that was always there. Kind of like Kovalev, right? Nobody knew about Kovalev's drinking problems until he lost to Andre Ward. All of a sudden, Kovalev is a drunk. Cases started coming up. Domestic violence cases over there in Russia. Now all of a sudden, Kovalev is this drunk champion, and everybody was quiet until he lost. Until he started going through his, drunk moments and stuff. So I don't know what the case here is, but I definitely believe Charlo has to fight that fight with himself first before he beats any champions. And he has the pedigree to be a lot of champions at that weight class.
For sure.
So I think we talked on that one a lot, y'all.
We are. Let me finish reading before we move on.
Go ahead. But I gotta drop the mic statement before we go off, and then
Ralphie says Charlo will win, but if Jose Benavidez, then Canelo going to fight him first. You can forget about David. That's probably true. Brett, was Dennis Hogan his last fight? Was wondering, is all the fight? It's a nice KO win for Charlo. Charlo will win, but if Jose Benavidez win, then you can cancel Canelo versus David and be the brothers instead. I can really see that happening. That's Canelo. That's how it does.
Hey, he want to fight no Mexican though. So I mean, Jose's Mexican, so I don't know. I'm yet to see if Canelo's gonna honor his word, saying he's not trying to fight no Mexicans, which he sucks. But let's see. Let's see if there's like a stipulation to that. Oh well. Not this type of Mexican, maybe this type of Mexican,
Yeah, they create extra demon being that stigma encircling room. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see me. I just can't bet on a fighter's mentality. We ain't gonna know what he feels like right now. He could be 100% mental. I got to go with what we've seen in the ring. What have you proven? And I got to go with Charlo. But Rob, go ahead with your statement.
We'll bet on this, and I'm dropping the mic after this. But if his reflexes are telling us anything, he almost got knocked out by Caleb Plant slapping the shit out of him last time we saw him.
Shakur also makes a good point here. Jose will be slower than the Garcia fight, extra weight. And I can't say it's going to be extra weight that's going to be coming into effect with like power. I don't see that happening. So just a extra markdown again for Jose. But let's move on. We're beating that fight up quite a bit here. Let's talk the main event. It's getting late. David Benavidez, Demetrius Andrade. Now, we've been wanting a good fight for Demetrius for a long time. Like the last like real name he fought was that Vanes Mortensen, and that was so long ago. Like that's the only real name I can even think of in his record. But we're sitting here. He still hasn't been defeated, right? But he also really hasn't proved jack, and he's had to go up so much in weight since then, right? Because Vanes was at 154. This fight's going to be, 168? So, Rob, is there any chance in this fight for Demetrius?
Demetrius absolutely has a chance in this fight. He's a dangerous fighter for a lot of people. We just haven't seen him fight this caliber of a fight.
But how do you know? That's the problem. Is there's no measuring stick. It's just
the skills. The skills are there. The skills are definitely there. Being that every single fight that he's been in, he's dominated. Yes, he got dropped by Vans, but he came back, dominated, and won that fight.
That was a split decision. I mean, that wasn't even a domination. Not in my book, anyway.
I felt he dominated that fight after the knockout. I felt like he's been dominant in pretty much every fight he's been in. The problem is there's no names there. Andrade said it himself that, yes, I haven't had the opportunity to fight anybody this caliber yet, but now I have my shot. You can't. Here's the thing, period. And we know this because we've seen it in boxing over and over again. You can't discredit a fighter just because of what you haven't seen when the talent is there. The talent to me is definitely there. He brings a wrinkle in this fight because stylistically, he matches up very well against David Benavidez. Stylistically, he's a boxer. I would say he's a boxer puncher, whereas Benavidez is more of a boxer slugger or a puncher slugger. So stylistically, to me, in my opinion, he brings a wrinkle to Benavidez that could frustrate the big guy. So yes, I absolutely think Andrade has a shot in this fight.
You're not wrong in the fact that the stylistically it does not match up great for Benavidez. I mean, you got somebody that moves a lot against Benavidez. We've seen how he struggled against Plant early on. Plant won that first half of that fight. And then slowly but surely, David was catching him and slowly walking him down, slowly hurting him. But I think we're going to see pretty much the same thing. I mean, how can Andrade stay in there and just box 100%, stay on that horse and not get hit? Because once David starts landing, he's going to start slowing him down, really working him down, and then that knockout is coming. Now, I know what you were saying. You know, we've seen skills, but it's easier to look good against those names. So I can't say that that's even these great skills, you know. I like Demetrius. I want to see him box well, but it's hard to back him going into this fight against David Benavidez. One, David Benavidez is clearly the A side. So even if he does manage to box very proficiently, it's hard to see him walking out of that ring with a W. Kind of just like what we said with Charlo, right? He's literally going to have to win every round. He is going to have to Bivol him. Bivol Canelo. That's what's going to happen. And I just can't see that out of Demetrius, not in this one. Ralphie says David Benavidez and Demetrius can come out like the Navarete fight. I see it happens like that. I see David dropping him, but will win on a close fight. Think David and Demetrius just going to come out swinging like that? I don't know.
But Benavidez,
I haven't seen him really trade with people like that. But what were you saying?
That's the beautiful thing about this fight. See, Benavidez be the one to start banging right away, and Demetrius we know he's not. But will Benavidez lure him into that type of fight, or will Andrade keep his fight the way he probably thinks is the best fight? I'm sure if his game plan is to trade with Benavidez, it's like don't trade with him on the early rounds, maybe, you know, like slow him down, see what he got, check his speed, his timing. Don't go blow for blow at the beginning, because that's not the fight you're gonna win. Not against the Mexican monster. Like anybody that goes in there try to meet Benavidez mano a mano, blow for blow, you already roll your death sentence.
Yeah, I don't. You don't want to trade with him. Yeah, I don't.
Not at all.
All right, guys. Predictions. How you see this one going?
So with Coach Lou, and I'm telling y'all here tonight, David Benavidez is my favorite fighter currently. He is currently my favorite fighter out of all the guys. However, this particular fight is really his coming out party because Andrade is legit and stylistically he matches up perfectly for Andrade stylistically. So he's going to have to prove something in the ring. He's going to have to prove that he can get past a slick boxer, a slick puncher like Andrade, get into the later rounds and get a knockout victory. Because that's what we all want to see here. And especially the way that Andrade runs his mouth. He's been running his mouth for years that he should get a shot at Canelo. For years that he's the best in the division, not named Canelo. For years that Canelo's been ducking him and these other fighters and blah, 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 blah. David Benavidez, it's time to shut that up. It's time to turn boo-boo into boo-boo. That's what I want to see on Saturday night. I have David figuring him out. I do have it being back and forth in the early rounds. I have David doing a much better game plan, a much better job with him towards the end of the fight than he did with Plant, than just beating him up. I think he will actually set him up for a clear knockout victory. I'm going 9-10 round knockout.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of agree with Brett here. Boo Boo does fundamental basics well, just like Plant, and I think it's a similar fight. I think it's going to go similarly, you know?
Yeah.
He also said, I don't think he's that slick. He works his way into mid-range in the pocket. I would agree. I would say Plant actually is probably a little bit slicker. So if anything, maybe Plant a little bit is going to last a little bit longer. I'm picking 2 knockouts. Both I think are going to be semi-close. I'm saying an 8th round for this one. I think Demetrius is going to get it, but I mean he's on the first stage in a long time too, right? He's been begging Canelo, showing up. It's get that guy out of here, you know. Andre wants his moment. This is how he gets it. So he definitely has some motivation in front of him. However, I also agree with Shakur. Way too big. Way too big.
I mean, that could be, but sometimes skills will override, size and sometimes power. So I'm yet to see that, but I definitely going with Benavidez as well. I think it's going to be like a decision, maybe a late stoppage, 11-12. But I think it's going to be a decision. Actually, man, listen, this Benavidez guy, man, it just, he gave us plan. He gave us, he's given us back-to-back super fights. And he's mandatory for Canelo. Let's not forget that simple fact. He's been mandatory for Canelo. So while he's waiting for Canelo to actually say, hey, I'm the loudest kid in the room right here, you still haven't checked me, he's knocking everybody that Canelo already, either is about to fight or he already fought. So it's like a collision. It's like a collision waiting to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know when this collision course is gonna come to fruit, but hopefully we get to see it. Man, Benavidez is a monster, man. I feel like the pressure is gonna be the factor. The fact that he can get in there, take the punches, and keep going forward. That his punch output, it's just gonna be too much for Boo. Now, Boo plays it kind of like Shakur, and he get on his bike and he decides to stick and move. We might see a whole different style. Next thing you know, we see a few Benavidez flows because he has flows being exposed. So I'm curious to see that. Even if he Benavidez wins, I feel like Boo is gonna bring to the light a few flows that it probably might not be, we don't see it as much, but Bubu's gonna make it noticeable. Like, oh shoot, oh yeah, he lacks on that, or he needs to work on that if he wants to, that Canelo fight, blah blah blah. But at the same time, I think the winner here is gonna be the pressure. The pressure is gonna be too much. It's only so much, it's only so much that you can withhold the pressure. At some point, it's like, boof, the pipes burst. That's it. You cannot hold it no more.
And I mean, that's just it. Who has Demetrius fought that's even remotely a pressure fighter? I can't name one. There is not really one there. You know what I mean? Like that's another thing is like, there's so much that we haven't seen from him. I mean, not that we've seen the best of David Benavidez. He hasn't had a lot of marquee fights yet, but he's at least had more than Andrade. Now, I got to go back to this because I'm a good sport. Paul Peters, I have no idea what you're talking about. Apparently, I'm DJ Khaled, so I'm going to say it again. Another one. And I guess you're LL Cool J? I don't know, but let's go with that. Brett says he's got a good chin boo-boo, but it ain't been tested by a heavy punch like Benavidez yet. Is it me or does this guy with blonde hair look like? I don't know. I guess he just wants to roast. But, Rob, with all of this being said, we're looking at, like I said, pressure. Guys with power. He's had a relatively easy resume. Would you just agree to that with Demetrius?
He agreed to it. Everybody has to agree to it. He agreed to it. But again, that just means that we don't know what he's capable of in this caliber of a matchup.
Exactly. We don't know. We don't know what he's capable of, period. Now, you said he's got skills. I haven't seen him. To see skills, you have to actually fight somebody also with some skills. Otherwise, you're just displaying skills against somebody who can't really even defend themselves. I mean, his resume is very lackluster. Very lackluster.
Yes. But look.
And hold on, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
That's not thought process not done yet. And his KO ratio is also very low. So we're talking about he ain't really got that heavy of hands. I don't see him being able to keep Demetrius off of him. We're talking about a guy who just beat Plant, and Plant knocked out Jermall. Now, I'm not saying Plant has the heaviest hands, but if we got to compare, I'm saying Andrade is con compared to Plant at this point.
Well, I mean, and it could just be another Darrell type of fight. It could just be another Darrell type of fight. That's what you're predicting, that he gets him out early, and it is like a Darrell type of fight. But we'll know Saturday. We get to see it. The gig it's up, so to speak, for Andrade. So we get to see it Saturday.
But we got knocked down by a journeyman. Yeah, Brett said it for me. Coach Lou, Benavidez is a patient, aggressive fighter. He knows when to press. And I full on expect him to kind of try to wear him out in that first half of the fight, and then he's going to pour it on in the last part of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see this being close. I have Benavidez knocking him out. Real quick though, because we didn't talk about the odds, Rob. Do you like the odds for this fight? Is this a little bit more something you would want to bet on versus the Charlo Benavidez fight?
Well, I like the odds. I'd take Benavidez and KO. Again, you're going to get the better value for your money in which rounds that you think is going to go.
The guy in the brownish hat, his face looked like a Sinbad in a hostage video. Blink twice, you're okay. Oh man.
So don't show that crap.
I'm not showing him no more. I just thought that one was funny. I had to share. I started laughing for no reason, so I had to put it up there.
So again, I would take the odds on Benavidez. I would take him by KO. It's the amount of rounds that you think is going to last would get you the best value here. I think the odds will be leaning towards the earlier rounds. So I would maybe look at it going possibly in the later rounds just to get your money's worth if you believe that Andrade can last that long. the question I have for the viewers is anybody scared for Andrade in this fight?
I am a little bit. You got a big jump here, right? I mean, Benavidez is known to kind of beat the hell out of some of his opponents, and we're going against somebody who I don't know how he can take a punch. Really, have we seen Boo Boo take one? I mean, like you said, he got knocked down by a journeyman. Veins dropped him. What do you think David Benavidez is going to do to him? Right? He's on the cusp of a Canelo fight, the biggest payday of his life, basically a lottery ticket. What do you think he is going to do to Demetrius? I think it's going to be bad.
Yeah, and the scary part is he's wanting more and more to live up to that moniker, the Mexican Monster. So Andrade, I hope he puts his money where his mouth is, because otherwise it is going to be a dangerous fight for him.
For sure. Sakura, too big, too strong, and quick hands. Andrade cannot make Benavidez respect him. He will be all over him, but kudos to Andrade for actually accepting the challenge. Yeah, I mean, I think he kind of had to. Yeah, Andrade is just there now. It's to that point where he can't get anybody he wants to fight him, so he has to take whatever he can get. And he's 35 years old, and we're talking about a 35-year-old fighter with not a name. You know what I mean? You basically thought for 35 years, you are 35 years old, and you don't have anybody on a resume that's even worth naming. You have nothing to do with your career. You are a professional, but have not fought one single name.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
It's not good. It's not good, and it's not good experience for him. It's going to be basically he fought all this way just to lose in the one big fight that he had, and that's not a good ending to a career. I really hope that's not how this goes out for him. Coach Lou says Creed can beat Andrade and not in a movie. LOL.
So you think Michael B. Jordan beats Andrade? Damn, that's tough.
Brett, I think Plant hits harder than Boo Boo does and more punches and bunches too. And I think Andrade had trouble gauging range early in the fight. So he ain't going to do well with the pressure of David. Not to mention, I mean, David Benavidez got some long-ass arms. You better believe he's got them by probably, 3-4 inches, I would assume. So just like we talked about with the undercard, right? David Benavidez pretty much holds most advantages. Demetrius, I think the actual boxing building and staying on the outside, adjusting to the range, that does benefit him. Footwork is going to benefit him. But if we're talking speed, if we're talking power, no. And eventually he's going to land. It's just a matter of when. About out of time for the day. Can't go without mentioning Cameroon Taylor rematch. Do you think this one's changing at all, Rob? Because the last was a great fight. A lot of people had Taylor winning, but I think Taylor's, the favorite, so, and definitely has the fan base. Do you see this one going any differently?
Man, this is going to be another classic fight, another great fight. And yes, Katie Taylor is extremely determined. And you know what? She's saying the right things. Absolutely the right things. She's saying how humbled she was after the loss and how much she's allowed herself to learn from it. When I start to worry about fighters, fighters losing multiple matches like this, I worry about it when they go into like a depression after the loss, when they kind of mourn the loss, so to speak. And she didn't do that. And usually when fighters do that, they take a lot more time coming off of the fight because they want to allow themselves time to heal and time to overthink it, so to speak. She's going right back into the battlefield. She learned a lot. She took her lessons, and people that out here saying that Cameron is better fighter than Katie Taylor, she's gonna win the fight again, don't know Katie Taylor very much. She is one of the top fighters, male or female, one of the top fighters out there in the world. She's gonna find it. She's gonna find a way to win this fight.
I think this fight definitely could steal the weekend. Is that your prediction then? You gonna say Taylor wins?
I have Katie Taylor winning it because I have a hard time picking against her. I've done it in the past, and every time I have, she's made me look like a fool. So Katie, again, the things that she is saying to me, in my opinion, she's in the right headspace for this fight. Yeah, and I think she's in the right headspace. She's hungry again. She's a hell of a fighter. Not to get taken away from Cameron. She proved on the night that she was a great fighter as well. But I don't know if she's going to be able to. Katie's going to level up, and I don't know if Cameron's going to be able to match that.
Yeah, I mean that's good. Let's see. Cameron has Taylor's number. She stands in the pocket and has shown she is slower than Cameron. And I agree with what Shakur is saying. But Katie Taylor kept it close. That's really all she has to do and be able to just improve upon her last performance. I think she will perform better. It's just a matter of can she outwork her opponent. And I really think she will. It's just I think in a way they are kind of setting it up like CJ saying, where we gain her titles and set up a trilogy. I think there's definitely going to be some truth to that. Brett says worst thing a Bush can do is drink sauce.
Yeah.
Was what Charlo did for 2 years.
Yeah. Thank you, Brett.
Taylor needs to hit Cameron with testosterone to win. I don't know how to reply to that one, Coach.
That was a good one.
But regardless, it's going to be a good fight. This one may actually steal the weekend, guys. So definitely tune in. That one's on DAZN. Of course, that's in Dublin, Ireland. So it will be on early Saturday. And then we'll finish up in Las Vegas on Showtime pay-per-view with the David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade fight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Any last words, Rob?
I had a rapid fire me and you could just do real quick.
Sure.
In honor of Thanksgiving, Lucas, which fighter do you think is the macaroni and cheese? Which fighter? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I will not be like,
and in the show.
No, for real though. On the real note, which boxing match, which boxing event, which boxing topic were you most thankful for that happened this year?
Oh man, I've been trying to think about this because I've been trying to think about end of the year stats and stuff for us, and it's hard for me. I think it was Crawford finally breaking into the PBC fighters, finally getting Spence. That fight was just an itch that none of us could scratch. So being able to finally see it work its way out, I think has to be the number one. But what would you say?
Everybody, I'm most thankful for the fact that women's boxing is now on a bigger scale, much bigger scale than what it's ever been, and it actually is proving to have a bright future for the sport. Bigger fights, y'all. Let's hope and pray that they keep bringing the 12-round, 3-minute title fights into 2024. I think that is the most thankful thing that I have in the sport, because the women are really gelling and putting on better competitive fights than the men are.
It's fair. Do you think we will see Shields versus Thurman, or Shields versus any man for that matter?
Now, I do not want to see that. I do not want to see that. I think that I think that in all sports, there's a reason men and women are separated. I wouldn't say all sports. Some sports, I definitely think that they can play together. But in the sport of boxing, they should not be in the ring together. You can get hurt. You can die in the ring. And just for the simple fact that what is that teaching our kids? What do we
Preach.
teach? What do we teach our kids growing up? You don't hit for a boy. You don't hit a girl. You don't hit a woman, and that's why I don't want to see that type of stuff happen.
Yeah, I mean that line is getting grayer and grayer between male and female. I think it needs to stay in the sport of boxing. Um, it's a lose-lose situation, right? He has to try because in boxing, like you just said, you can die. All right, this is a serious sport, so they both have to try, and I don't think you can both get in there and just let it all hang out because somebody's going to get hurt. Either Thurman's going to hold back too much and get hurt, or he's going to unleash too much and Shields is going to get hurt. But regardless, yeah, I think it's best for female boxing and male boxing. Just keep everything separate. I am hoping and waiting for Shields' next big fight. She needs another big name sometime soon. She needs to stay active and stuff. So hopefully we get to see her back in the ring sometime soon. But it is good. And I agree wholeheartedly with the comment about the ladies. They kind of made this and last year. I mean, to be honest, yes, we've had big fights, right? We've had big signings this year and they showed up. But as far as the fight was, the fights turned out kind of crappy. Like, yeah, it's a huge thing. We're like, yeah, we're pumped. And fight was garbage, It's just very lackluster. Probably she was wanting to fight Thurman. I'm thinking she must like the man. Yeah, that's what they say, when you're little, you get picked on. Maybe that's it. But thank you all for tuning in. It's been a great show. Thank you all for the comments. Even the roaster, some of that stuff was funny, Paul. But we all appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in again. Don't forget to check us out every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We don't pull any punches. Have a good night.